Chosen one. The air around you has shifted. You can feel it, can't you? The same people who once walked away from you are now circling back, quietly, pretending it's coincidence. But it's not. Heaven saw this moment long before it came. The same ones who broke your heart, who underestimated your silence, are feeling an unfamiliar emptiness, and their spirits are restless. They remember the peace your presence brought, the energy your words carried, the calm that only followed when you were near. They think they can return, as if time has erased the damage, as if the lessons written in your pain have faded. But this time, you've changed. You're not the same soul they left behind. God has been reshaping you in the background. While they were watching others, He was preparing you for this test. How to respond when the past knocks on your door again. You're not here by accident. You've been guided to this moment. This message is confirmation that your silence is divine protection. Don't let nostalgia trick you. Don't let your empathy undo the progress you've made. If your spirit woke up while listening, don't scroll away, like this video. Subscribe now. You belong here. Write 99 in the comments. It's time to release your wish to the universe. The power that moves through you is real, and the moment you acknowledge it, the universe begins to rearrange itself to serve your purpose. This is the energy of return, but not for you to go back. It's for you to witness how far you've come. They're trying to re-enter your life, not because they miss you, but because your energy has become rare. You've evolved beyond the patterns that once bound you. What they sense now is not the same softness you once carried. It's your anointing. Your silence confuses them. Your peace offends their chaos. When they can't read you, they start to fear losing control. Remember, people are drawn to light not only for warmth, but sometimes to extinguish it. Stay silent, chosen one, because silence is your weapon. It exposes motives faster than words ever could. Let your absence echo louder than your explanation. Let your stillness reveal their true intentions. In the coming days, some will call, some will appear in your dreams, some will test the boundaries you've rebuilt. They'll use familiar phrases, memories, laughter, anything to reopen the gates of your heart. But you must remember, familiarity is not safety. Just because something feels known doesn't mean it's meant for you. God has separated you for a reason, and that reason is not over yet. You're being protected from distractions that look like second chances. They think silence means weakness, but you and I both know silence is strategy. It's the shield of those who have learned to hear God more clearly than human noise. This is the test before elevation. Can you stay quiet while your old life calls your name? Can you resist explaining yourself to those who no longer deserve your words? Your silence is the proof that you've healed. It's how heaven knows you're ready for what's next. The enemy's favorite trick is repetition, making the past reappear disguised as closure. But closure doesn't always come with conversation. Sometimes it comes with distance. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Stay silent, not because you're cold, but because your peace is sacred ground now. The wind feels different when God has elevated you, doesn't it, chosen one? You sense it before it happens, the shift in energy, the pull in your spirit, the whispers of names you no longer speak. They're talking about you again, not with the same arrogance they once had, but with uncertainty. They can't understand how you survived what they thought would destroy you. The same people who doubted you now watch in quiet awe. Their pride won't let them admit it, but their souls remember your light. That's why they're coming back. Not to make things right, but to feed on what they lost. Every message, every "Hey, how have you been?" is not innocent. It's spiritual fishing. They're testing if your door is still unlocked, if your heart still bleeds compassion the way it used to. But now, God says, stay silent. Don't explain your distance. Don't justify your peace. You're not here by chance. You were led here by divine alignment. This moment is not random. It's your confirmation. They're trying to re-enter because they feel your growth vibrating through the atmosphere. But you must not respond. You've stepped into a higher frequency, and not everyone can breathe where you are now. You've been called to protect your blessings, your focus, your energy. If your soul feels this message stirring within, don't ignore it. Like this video, subscribe now. You belong here, among the awakened ones. Write 99 in the comments. It's time to release your wish to the universe. Say it from your heart. You've waited long enough for your breakthroughs. This is your moment to declare it with faith, not fear. There's a reason silence feels so uncomfortable for people who live in chaos. It mirrors them. It forces them to hear their own noise, their own guilt, their own emptiness. That's why they want your attention again. When you stopped giving them access, they lost their source of validation. You were the mirror they used to admire themselves in, and now they can't stand their reflection without your light to soften it. But chosen one, this is not your burden to carry anymore. Compassion is not the same as access. You can forgive without opening the door. You can love without returning to the fire. You must understand something deep. When God moves you to silence, He's preparing to speak for you. Every unanswered message, every ignored call, every quiet boundary is not avoidance. It's protection. Heaven fights in ways the world can't understand. While they're busy crafting excuses to reappear, angels are already guarding your space. They stand around you like invisible sentinels, ensuring that no old spirit disguised as comfort sneaks back in. You are in the rebuilding phase of destiny, and silence is your armor. Don't feel guilty for it. Guilt is the emotional bait they'll use to pull you back into old traps. But guilt fades where purpose grows. You are being watched, not just by them, but by heaven. This silence of yours is a signal to God that you finally trust Him with the outcome. You no longer need to fight for what's already been decided. Your stillness is sacred evidence that you've matured beyond the noise. Let them wonder why you stopped responding. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. You're not missing out on anything that belongs to you. The silence you keep now is building the peace you'll live in later. Chosen one, stay silent. Not to punish them, but to protect yourself. Because when the time is right, the ones meant for you won't need noise to understand your worth. It always begins the same way, doesn't it, chosen one? That subtle vibration in your chest, that whisper of a name you thought you'd forgotten, that random thought that makes you pause for a moment and wonder if they're thinking about you too. And they are. The connection between you and them was never ordinary. It was spiritual. That's why their spirit still wanders toward yours. They sense your glow from afar. You've ascended, and now they want to climb through the same door they once slammed shut. But God says this: do not answer. The silence you keep is not cruelty, it's command. You're not meant to return to what God has already delivered you from. When you stay quiet, you show heaven that you've learned what pain tried to teach you. They think time has softened your edges, that forgiveness means access, but they're mistaken. Forgiveness was your freedom, not an invitation. You release them to heal, not to reopen the same chapter. What they're chasing isn't love, it's control. They want to feel relevant in your story again. But you've outgrown the plot. You've become the main character of your own destiny, and that's what terrifies them. People who never valued your silence will now crave your response. They'll watch every post, every word, every move, searching for a hint that you still care. But you no longer live in the space where their approval dictates your worth. You've moved into spiritual authority. When God told you to be silent, He wasn't asking you to disappear. He was teaching you how to reign without reacting. This silence is not emptiness. It's construction. Every quiet night, every unanswered text, every ignored memory is another stone laid in the foundation of your new life. The old version of you would have rushed to fix, to explain, to justify. But that version of you was driven by fear of loss. The new you understands that silence doesn't lose anything. It protects everything. You've realized that not every door deserves to be reopened. Not every knock deserves attention, and not every apology is sincere. Some people apologize just to regain access to the peace they disturbed. Chosen one, you have to see what's really happening. The moment they sense your detachment, they panic, because for the first time, they can't reach you through guilt. They can't manipulate your empathy. They can't bend your spirit to their agenda. You've become unbothered, untouchable, divinely guarded. That's why they'll use subtle tactics, playing victim, pretending to have changed, invoking shared memories. But their strategy will fail, because you no longer respond to emotional traps. You respond only to peace now. Your silence tells heaven you've learned the language of wisdom. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you take back power. You may not see it, but in the spiritual realm, your silence shakes the ground beneath those who used to control your emotions. They can't understand why you're not responding, why their usual tricks don't work anymore. It's because you've outgrown the vibration they live in. You no longer need to explain what peace looks like. You are peace. You are proof that growth doesn't require announcement. It reveals itself in restraint. When they try to re-enter your life, remember this: not everyone deserves a sequel. Some stories ended for your protection, not your punishment. Stay silent and let your new chapter speak for itself. Chosen one, you've entered the quietest and most powerful chapter of your life. The world around you hasn't gone silent. You have. That's why it feels so strange. The noise used to comfort you, didn't it? The constant conversations, the familiar chaos, the endless explanations. But not anymore. Silence has become your sanctuary. You've realized that peace is not found in the absence of problems, but in the absence of unnecessary people. God has been training your spirit to hear only what matters. And now, as they try to re-enter your life, You can see through their smiles. You can feel the old patterns trying to whisper their way back in. But you've grown too wise for that. You can sense manipulation before it even speaks. You can recognize deceit in the tone before the words fully form. This is spiritual maturity. It's when you no longer need to test the lesson, because you've already lived it. It's not that you don't care anymore. You do. But your care has evolved. You've learned to care from a distance, to love in silence, to pray instead of pursue. You're no longer driven by the need to be understood, because you finally understand yourself. That's the power of divine silence. It's not emptiness, it's alignment. God stripped away your distractions so you could finally hear your purpose without interference. And the people trying to re-enter your life, they feel that silence like thunder. They don't understand how you can remain so calm while everything around you shifts. But what they don't realize is that your calm is not ignorance, it's power. You've learned to let God handle the storms you no longer chase. Their return will not come as confrontation. It will come disguised as curiosity. How have you been? I was just thinking about you. I miss those times. But the energy behind those words is not nostalgia, it's hunger. They see your peace, your glow, your growth, and they want a piece of it. But God says, don't share what was meant to be sacred. You are not obligated to reopen your heart just because someone knocks gently. Your silence is not arrogance, it's discernment. When you say nothing, heaven speaks everything for you. The people who left you misunderstood your quietness. But they will learn that silence was your transformation's loudest roar. You don't owe them closure, chosen one. Closure came when you stopped explaining yourself. When you realized that peace doesn't require approval. Every second you remain silent is another declaration to heaven. I trust you, God. I don't need to fight for what's already protected. You've spent years trying to prove your loyalty to those who are only testing your limits. Not anymore. The silence you walk in now is the echo of divine confidence. It's the sound of someone who no longer seeks validation because they already carry God's confirmation. Remember this, every attempt to pull you back is a distraction from what's ahead. Every familiar face that reappears during your peace is a test of your discipline. The enemy doesn't always show up as chaos. Sometimes he shows up as comfort. But don't be fooled. You've seen this pattern before, and now you know how it ends. You are no longer the student of pain. You are the master of peace, and silence is your diploma. God is preparing to elevate you into rooms where words aren't enough. Your energy will speak for you. When they reach out again, stay still. Don't explain, don't correct, don't defend. Just smile in silence, knowing that heaven already said everything you never had to. The night feels heavier now, doesn't it, chosen one? You can almost sense the energy shifting again, like old spirits pacing outside your gates, waiting for an opening. They can feel your light growing, and it burns their conscience. The more silent you remain, the louder their thoughts become. They replay every word, every ending, every missed chance. Their souls whisper, maybe they'll forgive me. Maybe I still matter. But deep inside, they already know the truth. They no longer have access to you. You are no longer who they remember. You have walked through too many storms to let familiar voices call you back into the rain. God didn't lead you this far for you to reopen a door He Himself closed. This silence you keep, it's sacred. It's divine strategy. It's proof that you've finally learned that not everything lost was meant to be found again. They may test your patience. They may try to provoke your compassion. They may appear broken, sincere, and apologetic. But don't be deceived. God hears conversations you never will. He sees what they say when your name leaves the room. He knows who prayed for your downfall in secret, who smiled in your face while cursing your path behind closed doors. He knows the ones who tried to plant doubt in your spirit, making you question your own worth. That's why this silence is not just a choice. It's obedience. You are not ignoring them out of pride. You are protecting what heaven has given you. Because every word you release now carries divine weight, and not everyone is ready to handle that power. Your silence is not weakness. It's wisdom forged in fire. Every betrayal, every disappointment, every manipulation has trained you to hear beyond words. You've learned that true peace doesn't argue. It just watches, listens, and moves when guided. You are no longer reacting to energy. You are commanding it. You've become a mirror that exposes every false intention that approaches you. And because of that, the very people who once drained your light will now find themselves uncomfortable in your presence. They'll feel seen, exposed, and uneasy. That's the spiritual authority God placed in you. Your silence is not passive. It's judgment in disguise. It allows truth to reveal itself without you having to say a thing. This next phase of your journey will test your endurance. The temptation to respond, to clarify, to prove your change. It will rise. But remember, explanation is for those who still seek validation, and you've outgrown that. You're not the same soul who begged to be understood. You've crossed the line between needing to be heard and learning to be guided. When they try to re-enter, your silence will be the wall heaven uses to guard your destiny. Don't apologize for it. Don't break it for temporary emotions. Every time you stay silent, you choose growth over noise, purpose over pity, destiny over distraction. You've become the quiet storm, the kind that shakes everything without ever needing to speak. Those who left you will hear of your peace and mistake it for distance. But it's not distance. It's divine clarity. You can love people deeply and still protect yourself fiercely. You can forgive them completely and still never let them back in. That's not bitterness. It's wisdom. And soon, they'll understand that your silence was never revenge. It was reverence. For yourself, for your calling, for the voice of God that taught you when to speak and when to stay still. The silence before destiny is the loudest, chosen one. You can feel it, like the air before a storm, thick with meaning, charged with divine electricity. This isn't just about them trying to come back into your life. It's about the spiritual test that arrives when you've finally healed. It's about proving to the heavens that you won't trade peace for nostalgia again. The enemy doesn't always come roaring. Sometimes he knocks softly, wearing familiar faces, using old memories as keys. But God says, stay silent. Because if you answer, you reset the test. If you stay still, you graduate. This is not about who left or who returns. It's about who you become when neither defines you anymore. In your silence, you become a mystery to them. They can't read your thoughts, can't predict your next move, can't sense your energy the way they used to. That's why they feel compelled to reappear, to decode you, to reclaim what they lost. But the truth is, you are no longer available to the version of them that left. The frequencies no longer align. You're walking in divine timing now, where access must be earned through spirit, not words. You're surrounded by light, and they're drawn to it like moths to a flame. But every moth that touches light is burned by what it doesn't understand. That's why your silence is your safety. It doesn't just protect your peace. It blinds what means to harm you. You've become unreachable, not because you've hidden, but because you've elevated. Silence took you to a level where words can't follow. Every day you remain quiet, your discernment sharpens, your energy strengthens, and your faith deepens. You no longer seek closure. You are the closure. You no longer chase understanding. You are the understanding. Those who try to re-enter your life are simply echoes of your old season, reminders of the lessons you've mastered. They'll test the doors, but heaven has changed the locks. What was once emotional dependency has now become divine independence. You've stopped explaining what peace feels like. Now you live it. You've stopped proving your worth. Now your silence does it for you. And yet, this silence isn't cold. It's holy. It's a conversation between your soul and God. While the world wonders why you withdrew, heaven applauds your restraint. Your quiet is a declaration. I trust the process. You're not seeking revenge. You're seeking evolution. You're not ignoring people. You're listening to God. That's what makes you chosen. You follow divine whispers louder than human noise. You know that sometimes the greatest response is none, because silence doesn't end the conversation. It elevates it to heaven. So when they reach out again, when the past reappears under the disguise of just checking in, remember what you've built in this silence. Remember the nights you cried and chose peace instead of pain. Remember how hard it was to heal, how many times you almost went back, and how far you've come since then. Don't let familiarity pull you out of alignment. Stay silent. Let your silence be your sermon, your strength, your sword. Because the next sound the world will hear from you won't be explanation. It will be elevation. And those who once doubted your silence will witness the glory that grew within it. Chosen one. This is the final stretch before your breakthrough. The silence you've kept hasn't gone unnoticed. Heaven has recorded every tear you refused to explain, every word you swallowed, every moment you chose peace over pride. And now, the ones who tried to re-enter your life will see what silence built. You were never meant to return to their world. You were meant to rise above it. This is the moment where your stillness becomes thunder, where the quiet parts of your healing echo louder than their noise. You've passed the test. The door that once led to confusion now leads only to clarity, and you stand before it stronger, wiser, and untouchable. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right. But they won't understand that it wasn't time that changed you. It was revelation. You saw behind the masks. You felt what fake love does to a genuine heart. You learned that not every apology is repentance, and not every return is redemption. And so you chose silence, not as retreat, but as rain. The people who once underestimated you will soon realize that silence was your transformation's roar, the sound of a soul too powerful to be provoked anymore. What used to hurt you now humbles you. What used to break you now builds you. And that's how God redeems pain, by turning it into armor you didn't know you were crafting. This is your confirmation. The ones trying to re-enter your life will face closed gates because your spirit no longer vibrates on their level. You don't need to announce your healing. Your peace already does. You don't need to prove your worth. Your silence testifies for you. Stay still and watch how God speaks through what you no longer chase. The light that surrounds you now is not fragile. It's fierce. It was born in silence, shaped by pain, and sealed by divine timing. You've become a living example that stillness isn't weakness. It's wisdom anointed by heaven itself. So if they call, if they text, if they appear again with soft voices and old promises, smile gently and stay silent. Because this time, the lesson is complete. You don't owe them reaction. You owe yourself peace. God's reward is not in the noise of reconciliation. It's in the calm of release. And that's where you are now. Free, silent, chosen. The kind of silence that shakes the earth without saying a word.